Hello, and welcome to You Write, the podcast where creativity meets community.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Matt.
I'm AllfairChatwin, or V.
Each week on You Write, we challenge our listeners to write a story in just 30 minutes using 3 to 5 randomly generated words.
It's a fun and fast-paced exercise to spark your imagination and get those creative juices flowing.
We'll read your submissions, offer feedback, and discuss the unique twists and turns of each story.
Whether you're an aspiring author or just love a good tale, You Write is your place to explore the endless possibilities of storytelling.
So grab you some paint swatches and paintbrushes. Get comfortable, and let's dive into this week's Get-to-know-Yule.
And remember, the only limit is your imagination and ability to speak into a microphone. Let's see what you got.
Let's see. And everybody, please give us a hand in welcoming AllfairChatwin.
Welcome, Allfair. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
We're
you
doing
so much.
excellent. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Just
so much for
glad you
joining.
could make some time with us here today.
Absolutely. So, Allfair, can we just kick it off with you just sharing whatever you'd like to about yourself?
Okay. Well, I'm sort of an amateur hobby writer.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can also go by V if that's okay.
Oh,
or
yeah.
either one.
Yeah.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been trying to get back into creative writing. I've been kind of a lifelong reader, but wanted to get back into writing again. Probably before this, I was sort of writing more fanfic more than anything else.
Nice.
Oh.
I was trying to stretch my creative muscles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, excellent. That's
Yeah.
exciting. What kind of stuff do you tend to read, or what did you kind of start out reading?
So I always loved sci-fi and fantasy. Actually, I think I remember back in first or second grade, I got in trouble for reading a novel during class, something with witches and wizards, or maybe a book of fairy tales. I don't even remember.
Scandal.
I
Yeah.
got better about disciplining myself as I got older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always loved sci-fi and fantasy. Eventually, later on, read more horror, some psychological suspense.
Yeah.
Sometimes I read popular science books, especially about neuroscience.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What is something you're reading right now?
Let's see. I just finished a book by T. Kingfisher. She
Mhm.
writes a lot of shorter fantasy and horror novels.
Nice.
That's her pen name. Her other name is Ursula Vernon. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's written quite a few books.
Okay.
I just finished a book called Snake Eater. That was very fun, sort of like fantasy magical realism, kind of
Mhm.
with some darker elements, but overall cozy. It was fun to read.
Fun. Oh, I love a cozy book.
Oh, yeah. That sounds wonderful. I was just looking at it right here. Snake Eater, T. Kingfisher. Excellent.
Okay, nice.
Oh,
Where?
and I finished.
Sorry, go ahead.
I finished Slow Gods by Claire North. Big, long sci-fi space opera, very elaborate world building, very well written. That was really good too.
Ooh, I'll have to dig that out. That sounds like my
cool.
jam. Yeah.
I just want to hole up for a couple of weeks and just read. That's what I want.
Yeah.
V, I'm wondering, where are you based out of?
Out of Michigan.
Okay,
Oh.
I knew that and I'm asking, well, because I ask everybody, but also I could tell that you kind of have a northern accent. And so I was just curious. Michigan, cool.
Right on.
That's one place I've actually never been to.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
like
the
to go.
closest I got was Illinois.
Heard it's beautiful up there.
Yeah.
Lots of lakes.
It can be. It also gets really cold.
Yeah. I've heard that as well.
Yeah. So I'm curious, how did you find out about us? You're our most recent addition to the podcast.
Yeah.
And you've been very consistent with us since you found us. So I'm curious, what brought you to us?
Yeah.
I saw some interesting questions on the subreddit when they had questions about me specifically. I did want to clear up, no, I'm not some other poster posting under a new name or anything like that.
Oh.
Somebody was asking about that.
On our Reddit, they were asking that.
Yes.
If you're a poster
Did you see it?
posting under a different name, like somebody who was with us before posting under a different name.
That's what they were asking about.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
I
okay.
just wanted to clear up that no.
No,
Okay.
you're a different person.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. I was looking for different like creative writing contests. That NaNoWriMo is not available now.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
And
right.
actually,
Yeah.
I saw links to Do the Right Thing and actually some authors I admire. I don't know if you're familiar with the writer Wildbow.
Yes.
Yeah, we were
yes,
just talking in depth about Wildbow.
Yeah, with Nick
with
Tew
Nicked,
specifically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, yeah, and I think I saw some links from other people. I think Nick might have been one of them who posted links to their submissions on You Write Pod, which made me curious. I was like, oh, what is this about? Is this a short story contest? Is it free? Can anybody join? So I
Yeah.
was looking into it.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I love that it just kind of happened organically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
Allfair, I am so intrigued with you and your stories, most especially your novel Bember entries.
Mhm.
So, oh man, where do I start? I just am enamored with this world that you've built. And I even forgot what the name of your work is called. What is it?
Open Like a Flower.
Open Like a Flower, yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So I absolutely love this world. And I'm just so impressed with it because this is the type of series that I could just get lost in. And to the point that if it ever ended, I would be very depressed and in denial. And just because I want to stay like wrapped in this world.
Mhm.
So I just love the color, the like blending of different themes. Where did your inspiration come from for this world?
So a lot of it, well, I was kind of brainstorming a lot of different things. Some of it was, I've always liked books that kind of mix sci-fi and fantasy together. Like if you've heard of China Miéville and his books like Perdido Street Station.
Mm-hmm.
Another big inspiration was, I don't know if you've heard a book called Metropolitan by Walter John Williams that kind of mixes sci-fi and fantasy in a very modern, technologically advanced,
Okay.
big city setting.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Also,
Yeah.
some of it was memories from different places. I have family in different parts of India, so some of it was based on vague memories of going to big cities there: Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions is that city inspired by Eastern cities? And you
Yeah.
just answered that. Yes.
Excellent.
I don't know if anyone noticed a lot of the characters' names: Minu, Manasvi, Rishin, Akshara. Those are
really-
Indian names.
They are.
Those sound like Hindu names. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Oh, I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. I just have to share Rachel's enthusiasm
Mhm.
here. This is just such a both just textually and tonally a colorful world. And it's just so fun to get lost in. And I've
wonderful.
enjoyed all of our time with it. And I really genuinely hope that you can continue submitting into this, like even if it's to a blog, to the Discord, to somewhere that you can continue this work. It's just so fascinating, and I'm just enamored with it.
Same.
So I'm
thank
so
you.
glad that
Yeah.
you could share it with us through
I want to
Novel
go
Bember.
there.
Yes, I
Take
do.
me.
I want to go there.
Take me there.
But I'm curious, how much of it, whenever you set out to write Open Like a Flower, is meant to be commentary on modern society and living in the modern world, and how many mirrors you're trying to hold up here? Because there's a lot going on there.
Yeah. I mean, not all of it is like conscious. A lot of it is because I'm kind of like I usually start out by free writing whatever comes to mind. If there's something in particular, like something I saw in the news or something that's bothering me, a lot of time that ends up coming out in the story too. Yeah. Some of it is also kind of a little bit of wish fulfillment. If anyone's feeling nosy, if you look in my Reddit history, you see I'm always looking for lists of books that are very LGBT friendly, sci-fi and fantasy.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, very nice. I actually, speaking of nosy, I just clicked on your Discord profile here and I saw a quote from Octavia Butler's Parable of the
Yes.
Talents.
One of my
I
other
just
favorite
recently,
authors, yes.
I just recently read Parable of the Sower, and that's
Yeah.
the only book of Octavia's that I've hit. And man, she's an excellent author.
Yeah.
So
And definitely Parable of the Sower and the sequel, Parable of the Towns. Those are very a lot of people are saying they're very relevant to today's times now.
Yes. Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
check that
And a lot
out.
of her, yeah, and I like a lot of her other books, like the Wild Seed and
Mm.
um, Lilith's Brood. I don't know if you've heard of those, but those are some of my favorites. Yeah.
I have heard of Wild Seed, but I had not heard of the other one.
Mm.
You have to check all those out.
Okay. So I have a kind of a general question, like, what kind of stuff do you do in your time when you're not writing?
Okay. Well, it's kind of hard to find spare time with my current day job, but
Mm.
let's see. I've always been a reader, always, and I have a continually growing to be read list. Um, I do try to make myself exercise more and hit the gym more lately.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I've always been jealous of people who are very talented visual artists, and I have books on beginners for how to draw and how to get started with drawing, and I have a bunch of colored pencils sitting around in drawers. But
Mm-hmm.
um, I get frustrated because it's if you're a total beginner, it takes a lot of time and a lot of practice to get to a point where you feel comfortable with your skill level.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Totally. I think it's interesting that you say that because to me, your writing style is like the literary version of visual arts. So
Yeah.
that probably sounds redundant or dumb somehow, but I feel like you really paint a picture with your writing.
Yeah. It's clear that you see something that we don't, and you have such a way of expressing it through words that you clearly have a visual acuity, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You kind of like think in those terms, in your writing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, thank you. Actually, the funny thing is, well, I actually don't think of myself as being very strongly visual.
Mm-hmm.
I am somewhat neurodivergent, got tested for a lot of things when I was younger. They said I was much stronger with verbal stuff than visual, but I was always jealous of people who are very good at visual art. And a lot of my favorite writers are the ones who can really evoke a lot of strong visual imagery.
Yeah. I feel like you're definitely like following in their footsteps.
Yeah, you're certainly channeling that, if nothing else. Yeah,
sure.
I'm certainly getting the visual side of it. If nothing else, just the world that you paint. I have such a clear picture of that. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, so question about Open Like a Flower. Do you have like an idea of where you're going with this story?
Honestly, feel like a lot of it would just be kind of like the main characters kind of coming of age and kind of progression through the world, and also learning more about their world, because they're kind of like started as a very sheltered kid from a small town who goes to the big city and learns more about things there. So it kind of be, if I expand it, would kind of be like following their whole journey and how they grow up and learn more about the world around them. We see it through their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know we've mentioned several times just the effective use of a kind of fish out of water character for showing the reader about this world and how new it is to them and how new it is to the reader. I just think you've done such a great job with using Minu's perspective that I just could see so much content springing forth from this character and this world. So that's why I just really want so much more from it. Yeah,
I really do too.
Yeah.
So it seems that in your writing before Open Like a Flower, and maybe also in Open Like a Flower, you seem to kind of lean towards like a hero's journey type of thing. Is that something that you're trying to portray in your writing? Is a hero's journey?
Thought about that. I mean, more in Open Like a Flower, but not so much in the other stories, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, like I wasn't like in my earlier stories. I'm not sure if I really intentionally made it to be like a hero's journey. I think some of the characters might probably be less heroic than others.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that one? That was it was the Labyrinth, Change in the Heart of the Labyrinth.
Yeah.
That was a fascinating story because that was more following like an anti-hero or a villain even.
Or like someone who's going to become a villain.
Yeah, like a
pre-villain.
Yeah, something. yeah. I really enjoyed that story and just that perspective.
Yeah. So definitely the character's meant to be sort of a villain or kind of a villain origin story. I think probably I think most of my other characters are somewhat more sympathetic most of the time.
Yeah.
But I actually would be interested in writing a villain. There were some people on the You Write Pod subreddit who were asking about what my username meant.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently someone is asking, does it have something to do with ChatGPT? And I want to assure you, no, I don't like.
Oh, thank goodness.
God.
Yeah.
I don't use AI. I don't like AI.
God.
So this is a little embarrassing. My Reddit account's about 10 years old. The name AllfairChatwin is a character from a series of short stories by an author named Gemma Files. I picked this 10 years ago, so don't judge me. The character herself is, well, basically an evil witch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, awesome.
Nice.
If you read her story, she's a very fun character, very witty, very amusing to read. I always thought it would be fun to be able to write a story about a villain who's very fun, very clever, very charismatic.
Yeah,
in some
lovable
ways,
villain.
getting, kind of outsmarting the good guys. I always thought it'd be fun to write about a character like that.
Nice.
Oh yeah, and so often it's the villains that really do make a story.
Yeah.
Like heroes can be kind of boring sometimes.
They can.
And so having that villain there to complicate everything, like sometimes it's really the villains that make or break a story. So
Yeah.
I can completely sympathize. And I loved the conceit for Change in the Heart of the Labyrinth, the kind of seasons that you tell the story. I thought that was a very clever way to tell that story. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have another question about Open Like a Flower. So my favorite character, I don't know if you heard this on an episode recently, is Manasvi. I love Manasvi. I think Manasvi is awesome. How do you feel about Manasvi? Do you identify with Manasvi, or do you think she's a little shit?
I mean, she can be a little bratty. I don't know if I completely identify with her, because I don't always think of myself as I wouldn't think of myself as being like a little child prodigy or super genius at all. But yeah, but definitely she does have that little bit of, I don't know if the right term is gifted kid syndrome, or something like that.
Right.
But someone who discovered that they were, very smart and very good in a certain area at a certain age, and definitely it got to her head. And I think her family is aware of that and trying to, bring her down back to earth, or at least make her better at relating to other people, and try to get her to rein it in.
Right. Okay, nice. I just love Manasvi's just very like directness. I really like that. She don't pull no punches.
No, she's not afraid to say what she thinks. No.
Yeah, and I have a feeling that moving forward, you will use that prodigy character to great effect, kind of as a foil to Manu with her newfound powers. And I'm just curious, in so many words, if you could tell us, I guess this will be hinging into spoilers, but kind of the direction for Manu and what we could expect for her moving forward.
Well, I don't really have a lot planned out yet, but it would be more like, Manu's probably more a softer, more timid personality than Manasvi. Probably also her trying to decide who she should trust, or they should trust, and what they really think is best if they ended up getting caught up in certain things that are kind of affecting the whole world.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And just the way that we left it for them was kind of unclear with this character that you introduced. We kind of equated her to the character from His Dark Materials. Kind of this tutor character.
Actually, yes. Yeah, actually, I think that's a really good comparison. Actually, Mrs. Coulter is an excellent character. Yes. Yeah. And I think you're talking about Madame Akshara, who
yes, exactly. Thank you.
Mentor. And definitely she's not, I mean, in some ways I think she might sincerely believe in what she's doing. The other way, she's kind of, telling Manu what she wants them to believe to get her to cooperate. Also both at the same time. Like you can be a mix of different things at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just such a fascinating complication. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really curious
Me
about
too.
Madame
Madame
Okshara.
Okshara. Yeah.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
V, what is your favorite thing that you've ever written?
Favorite thing I've ever written?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I'm not sure. Like the thing is about writing, I always try to relax and have fun with it and
Mm-hmm.
worry less about how it turns out. What did I have most fun with? Let's see. There was a submission I did a while ago for um, where I wrote about the city under the violet sky,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
and that was kind of fun to write about. I was actually inspired by a bunch of other books. I don't know if you've heard of The King in Yellow.
Mm-mm.
It's like an older book that a lot of newer writers have done their own retellings about, kind of like a sort of Lovecraftian horror about this play called The King in Yellow that drives you mad and gives you visions of this otherworldly city.
Oh,
Oh, that sounds
And that
interesting.
was
awesome. Yeah.
me kind of doing my own take on that because I saw so many other modern authors putting their own spin on it and doing their own modern retelling. A lot of modern authors have their own anthologies based on this older story called The King in Yellow. Mine was
Nice.
like a different spin on it, like The Queen in Violet. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I like
I
that.
love that idea. Yeah. Yeah, take an
Yes.
idea and make it your own in some way. Cuz yeah, that's a story that was a standout, I felt
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So what can you just said you like to relax and just have fun with your writing. So could you tell us a little bit about your process? Because I just find myself wondering, like, where are you coming up with these ideas? I mean, how are you, like, you're very, very creative. So could you just tell us a little bit about the process for you when writing?
So definitely, I've always leaned more towards the discovery or more pantser side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess I probably should organize and plan more. I'm probably less verbose if I went back and edited things and cut out a lot of unnecessary stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when I force myself to sit down and edit, I'm like, oh, this feels too much like work. I just
Okay.
want to relax and have fun with it.
That makes sense.
I did see some people on the subreddit asking, how do you produce so many words in such a short amount of time?
Mm-hmm.
Quite a few people on the subreddit posted questions about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Oh
We
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that.
Yeah. So part of it is me being kind of neurodivergent and somewhat hyperverbal. Got tested for a lot of things. They said I don't meet enough of the criteria for anything, but most people who met me say you have something going on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But also, actually, big thing for me when it comes to creativity, this might sound a little woo woo or hippy dippy,
Mm-hmm.
but I've actually read a lot of books by other authors. A big part of it is being able to get in touch directly with your own subconscious or unconscious mind.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do a lot of meditation. Actually, I've gotten into kind of like the more woo woo stuff like affirmations, creative visualization,
Mm-hmm.
things like that, journaling. I actually, right before I joined You Right Pod, I was actually in the middle of doing, I don't know if you've heard of The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron,
That sounds kind of familiar,
Yeah.
honestly.
where it's a book that kind of ties spirituality to creativity, regardless of what you believe in, or getting in touch with your subconscious mind and subconscious blocks, and doing a lot of you do the morning pages. That's basically 3 pages of free writing every day to kind of loosen up, let out all those thoughts,
Oh,
and
nice.
look for inspiration unconsciously. But yeah, big thing for me is getting in touch with the subconscious mind. Actually, a lot of authors write about that. Stephen King wrote about it in his book on writing.
Yeah.
He talked about boys in the basement
Mm-hmm.
and having your subconscious do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Actually, Ray Bradbury in his book, that's another book I really like, Zen and the Art of Writing.
Yes.
He also talked about writers and their what some people, a lot of or people call the muse,
Mhm.
the subconscious mind for the writer. That's the muse.
Yeah.
And actually, I was wondering, is that where you got the idea of the You Write Pod prompts from? Because Ray Bradbury describes an exercise that's very much like it. That's why I got interested in You Write Pod, where
Oh.
you write down a list of nouns and just kind of free write and try to make a story out of it.
So the inspiration for the podcast itself is not original. The original podcast, the OG podcast, is called So-Called Writers, and I do believe that they pulled the idea from, I believe it was a professor that submitted it as an assignment to them that was based off of Bradbury. And so it was all off of nouns, but we're not using exclusively nouns for ours. It's just random words. And basically the idea is to just inspire anything, to just throw anything at the wall and see what can stick. But the original prompt idea was 4 nouns and write inside of 30 minutes. So yeah, that was for So-Called Writers. If you're curious to go back and listen, that was Matt Freeman over on Doof Media. And I want to say it was his brother. I think it was both of them working together. I could be wrong on the co-host, but it was 2 of them.
So, there you have it. So V, question. How much time, because like you sound very, very well read. How much time would you say that you spend reading, like in an average week, let's say?
Not as much as I'd like, especially with my working a full-time job. I used to read a lot more. That was kind of my escape, but from childhood onwards. Nowadays, maybe 2 or 3 books a week, usually novels. Sometimes when I'm tired, I just look for shorter ones, and sometimes I like, especially if work is very stressful, I check out books from the library. I don't always finish all of them lately. I'm trying to get more of a work-life balance so I can have time for things I enjoy, like reading and writing fiction. Yeah.
Yeah, that's still kind of a lot.
Yeah. For an average reader, I would say that's definitely above average. 2 or 3 a week. Wow. Yeah.
Well, it used to be 2 or 3 a week. Now it's more like 1 or 2.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. No, I get that. Trying to balance work, like you got to pay the bills, man. Yeah. But no, that's exceptional. What is it about the fantasy and sci-fi genre that really draws you in to not just reading it, but also writing it as well?
Okay. So, I mean, from the time I was a kid, I was always kind of one of those nerdy kids that wished, magic and superpowers were real. I don't know, I was always more of a reader than a gamer. But, I like some sci-fi and fantasy TV shows too. I think especially on Netflix, following things like Stranger Things or other things too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, I keep thinking of a quote from, another quote from Octavia Butler about why she got into writing science fiction at an early age. She talked about how I could create my own universe right there in a notebook where I could be whoever I wanted in any, especially if she was kind of trying to escape from things around her. And she said, I could be anyone but me, anyone but now, in any place but this. So that was, just getting to be whoever you wanted to be or imagining that. Yeah.
So
just
kind of an
creating
escape.
your world.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that kind of escapism view and just inhabiting and creating a new world.
Right.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Of the things that you have submitted to us, so often you do lean into a kind of almost like song-like or poetic, a poetic form at times. And so that just makes me wonder, what is your relationship with poetry, and how do you try to implement that into your writing?
So I actually didn't really try to implement poetry into my writing, like on a conscious level, like before this. I think I saw someone else on the Write Pod including poets in their writing. I was like, oh, that looks like it's interesting, but that seems like it would be difficult to do. Sometimes I read poetry, not that much, but actually a lot of my favorite fiction writers or prose writers have very purple poetic prose. Like, for example, China Miéville, Catherine Valente, Tanith Lee, if you've heard of any of them. I really love those authors and their language. There's a lot of the authors I really love have very poetic language, and I guess I'm kind of envying that and I wish I could write like that. I feel totally confident about my ability to do that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Excellent.
So just kind of dabbling in that. Okay, so you've talked a lot about inspiration that you've gotten from other authors. So I'm curious as to whether or not you draw inspiration from your everyday life, like your job or the gym you mentioned you've been going. Like, do you ever draw in for inspiration from things like that?
I do sometimes. I think, because I feel self-conscious about putting in too much. And it's like, oh, what if somebody I know reads this? What if a family member or coworker reads it or something like
Yeah.
that? Sometimes, like with certain like dysfunctional family situations, I think there was a story I submitted a while back about, well, more than one story about some characters who have some dysfunctional family dynamics, and
Mm-hmm.
some of that was incorporated in kind of like a distorted, put a different spin on it, change the names, change
Yeah.
the dynamics a little bit, but overall feel of it is kind of familiar to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it kind of goes into writing what you know, and what's at the top of your mind is something you know well.
Yeah.
And so I'm also guilty of writing to get over something.
Mhm.
Like I forget, it might have been Hemingway or somebody, but they say like the best way to get over somebody is to turn them into fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm certainly guilty of that. Like if I'm just not in a good place or in a good relationship with somebody, a great way to process that is to just write a story about it.
Yeah.
And it
totally.
forces you to kind of get in that perspective
Mm-hmm.
of their perspective and the way they may be feeling.
Yeah.
And
That's really smart.
so yeah, I can sympathize with using the struggles around you and the struggles of other people around you in story.
Yeah.
And also the hesitation to want to publish that somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes out really good.
Yeah.
You're like, the world has got to see this.
Yeah.
But then if it gets too popular, then it's like, oh, what if someone I know sees it?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just stumble on
Deny.
that.
Just deny. Be like, no, this is not what you think it is. This is not about you.
It may look like it,
Right.
but it's not.
Yeah. Like the world doesn't revolve around you. God.
Oh, like that song, You're So Vain.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just hit them with that. Okay. So, you've written a lot of fantasy, obviously. Do you ever write more like, well, you've also written some more like real life stuff, but I feel like it always has an element of fantasy.
Yeah, like a magical realism.
Yeah. Do you ever write anything that doesn't have any fantasy or magical elements?
Sometimes, but I find that, because I love sci-fi and fantasy so much, a lot of times some unusual supernatural element just keeps creeping back in,
Mhm.
just because I love that kind of stuff so much.
Yeah, I get that. And I believe it was Sanderson was saying it's like when in doubt, err on the side of what's awesome. And so always having that to fall back into. I think I forget which one it was, but there was a story. Oh, it was the girl, she burns down the house.
Mhm.
With
Burning Bright, yes.
Yes. I loved that because the magical elements of it was hard to know. Like as a reader, it's like, was that actual magic?
It was like the leopard or something, wasn't it?
Or was that just like almost like a hallucination?
Mhm.
Like it was just such a fun experiment. I felt like as a reader to be like, well, what do I think it was? So I really enjoyed that story. And I could see how that may have started out as a story with less magic or fantasy in it. And it just suddenly there it was part of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. And definitely, like a lot of time the fantasy elements just keep creeping in just because that's what appeals to me.
Mhm.
And also that's probably one of the stories, there's some dysfunctional family dynamics in there that I wouldn't want certain people I know in real life to read. So.
Right. Yeah, I actually recently wrote something where I do have a character who is based on a real person in my life, but I just don't think he's ever going to read it. So I think we're good.
Okay.
If we did, he'd be very pissed, but yeah.
Yeah. But again, it's just, it's a great coping mechanism. Just being able to use your writing in that way to express yourself and to maybe broaden your perspectives a little bit. I really like that. Oh, just curious. Have you ever heard of the book "This Is How You Lose the Time War"?
Yes, I read that. Yeah, I think, yeah, I did read that. Yeah, there's two different authors, and there's like the two different characters writing letters to each other. Yes, it's who is it? Max Gladstone and Amal El-Motar.
That's it. Exactly. Yes.
Really good. I really like that.
I
The poetic
love that
language.
book.
And that's actually, yeah, I envy authors like that who are so good at writing this very beautiful poetic language. And I think deep down, I always kind of envied and wished I were good enough to write things that sound so poetic like that. Yes.
Yeah, and I'd be curious. Well, it's such a challenging thing because a book like that epistolary style that they're telling it in, and that combination, in addition with the purple prose and this really just beautiful descriptive language and such highly creative scene setting. I'm just curious, is that something that you would ever attempt to tackle as a co-authorship of something like that?
I would love to try that. I think it would be really challenging to do, though, but that would be really interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it certainly would be a challenge, but I've always admired those two authors for having, one, undertaken something like that, and two, come away with something so unique and original and creative. And still being able to convey each of their own individual styles in a cohesive manner like that. And I don't know why it just, when you mentioned wanting to attempt that purple prose and admiring that just seemed like that would be a great way to experiment with that, is a sort of co-authorship like that, bouncing back and forth that way. So I'm glad you've read that. That's one of my absolute favorites. Yeah, very cool.
That was really good. That would be a really interesting thing to try, but yeah, definitely a challenging one.
Yeah. That may be something we could attempt to pair people off on the podcast.
Ooh, that could be fun.
And see if we could do some sort of co-author work of some kind.
That's such a good idea.
It would be a real challenge for sure, but we'll entertain that.
I really like that idea. Okay, one more question, and it is probably going to be a hard one for you because you seem to love so many authors. Who is your favorite author?
Oh, yeah, that is hard. I think it would be really hard to pick just one. Let's see. When I was a kid, I think my favorite books were authors by, I don't know if you ever heard the Young Wizard series by Diane Duane, or the books like Diana Wynne Jones. She wrote Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, I know Howl's Moving Castle well, yeah. Okay.
And I think when I was a little older in my teens, I was really into Anne Rice, Clive Barker, authors like that. Dune, Frank Herbert. Not as big a fan of the books that were continued by his son or other authors. I'm sorry to say that. No,
I talked some mad shit about Frank Herbert himself, so I'll allow you to talk about his son.
Yeah.
Okay. And Octavia Butler, definitely a favorite author. Actually, she was very into affirmations and self-hypnosis, which is something I use to try to jumpstart my own creative process too. I don't know if you ever read her biography. Apparently she had, after her death, somebody published her journals that said she was full of affirmations. I will become a best-selling author. I will create a scholarship to help other young people like me achieve their dreams. I will do this. I will do that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, she was very into positive thinking and affirmations and
willing things into the world just by believing in it. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I actually believe that we have already touched on all of the listener submitted questions.
Oh, wow.
Most of which really did circle around how are you so effective at writing so much so quickly? So
I think, basically the main thing is getting into being able to get in touch with your own subconscious mind and actually, also being somewhat neurodivergent and hyperverbal. One of the things I like to read about, you call it a special interest, reading about there's actually a lot of hard science out there about the existence of the creative subconscious and how A lot of things that were kind of dismissed as pseudoscience, like meditation, positive thinking, visualization, they actually work. I mean, you're not necessarily going to manifest $1 billion, but it's a psychological tool to kind of boost yourself, get going where you want to go, stay focused on your goals.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm believer in just meditating and mindfulness.
Oh, yeah.
In general. Yeah, I'm a huge believer in all of that. Yeah.
I was raised by a man who is, oh my God, like OG PMA, positive mental attitude. And he used to brainwash me and my brother. Like he had little pillow speakers that he made us put under our pillows while we were sleeping that said affirmations.
Wow.
Yeah. And if we would get smacked down if we used like a word like can't or something like that. Yeah. And he would make us say these phrases like 100 times, like right there, standing there looking at him. It was so awkward, but he did it all the time. Anyway, I don't know that life. But what you're saying about meditating and like channeling your subconscious and things with writing reminds me a lot of my aunt's style of painting. And she paints really, really cool stuff. And every time I'm at her house, she has us do a painting activity, and it involves sitting there and you like have to start like from the back of your neck and then like go like with your hand, like to the front, like to your forehead to like access your third eye or something like that. And then do some other stuff and like hum and this is all part of tapping into the subconscious to begin the painting process.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of books out there about the creative process now, and some of them do talk about like getting in touch with the subconscious. I talked about Julia Cameron, The Artist's Way. That involves a lot of journaling and free writing, just kind of writing down whatever comes to mind, even if you're just, I'm tired, oh, my job's stressing me out, I can't think of anything else to write, just write that.
Yeah.
Eventually, when you get all that garbage out of your brain, something else comes out.
I like that.
There actually are some writers who talk about like the getting into a creative trance. Yeah.
Very
I think,
cool.
yeah, there's quite a few authors who write about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that part about the free writing and just like if all you can think about is work is bad, you know, once you get that out, it's almost like clearing chakras. And then suddenly you can tap into deeper parts of yourself once you get the surface noise out of the way. Yeah. And actually, the story with Rocco that I wrote was a lot of that actually was free writing. Like it's just tapping into like emotions and feelings. And that's one of the few things that I've submitted that were written longhand. And that meant that it was like unedited, just raw, like as I wrote it down. It's the closest I've come to submitting a rough draft was that first story for Rocco. And it felt very therapeutic.
That's awesome.
It felt like it gets into a creative space that is hard for me to tap into normally. So I can completely understand the benefits of free writing just to get the engine running. So I'm definitely going to be picking up The Artist's Way.
Me too.
By Julia Cameron.
Honestly,
this sounds
me too.
very a great tool to have.
And if I think there were some other people in the subreddit who kept asking questions about how do you produce that many words. And so if anyone's interested, I could post a list of articles by authors that I find helpful about getting into that headspace, the creative trance state, where you kind of lower your inhibitions and let it all flow out of you.
That would be great.
I'll try to limit myself because if I get hyperfixated or overinterested in a subject, I'll keep adding more and more stuff and writing more and more and get a big long list. So I'll try to keep it concise.
That sounds awesome. I would love that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you need limitations, like we've actually discussed this, like part of the podcast and part of its effectiveness is the limitations that it puts on us and the creativity that comes from that. If you need a limitation, limit it to the top 5 for your list, and we will happily explore all of those.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Because I have a whole bunch of books and articles on, various things that I find interesting. A lot of that shapes my writing too, but definitely books on like the creative process and how different authors get into that headspace for creativity. That's something that interests me.
Oh,
Nice.
it interests me too. So I would
Yeah.
love to know. I'd love to know what those are. Yeah.
Same.
Well, excellent. All fair. I believe we are turning a corner here. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to say, the floor is all yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So I was interested for, a question for both of you, like what first led you to, create this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So originally there's a podcast called Do the Right Thing that Rachel and I participated in. That's how we came to this format with Alexandra and Jarvis. And because life happened, they had to let that go. They went into hiatus and just haven't been able to come back with it. But I had originally reached out to both of them to maybe take over Do the Right Thing and just get it back on its feet. But the logistics of taking over an existing podcast, it was simpler to begin again. And so I reached out directly to several of the former participants in Do the Right Thing early on, just so we had some people to submit stories, which included Walker by Faith and Nick to You, Ace of Sword back in the early days, which I'm kind of missing Ace of Sword.
Me
so
too.
hopefully we can get them back in the saddle again.
Yeah.
But and as we mentioned earlier, the original podcast was So-Called Writers, which was run by Matt Freeman, who goes by Mora Didamail in the Reddit world. So he submits every once in a while, but yeah, that was the inception point there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I remember hearing about Do the Right Thing. Yeah, and I think that's what kind of led me to You Right Pod. Another question, probably for both of you. I'm always curious about other writers and what their creative process is. Would either of you care to elaborate more on that, or?
Okay. For me, dang, I'm honestly like trying to work on my creative process, but something that I do and that I always tell my students to do is just start writing. Cause they're just like, I don't know what to write. I don't know. And I'm just like, just write something. And it, kind of like what you said, even if it's like, I don't know what to write or something, like write about how you're feeling. I don't know. So for me, once I get starting is so hard. But once I get started, then similarly to an analogy that Jake used, it's like chopping down a tree. So like the first few swings are super hard, and then it kind of gravity takes over, and then momentum, and then it's like hard to stop, So for me, it's just starting, and looking at those words really helps. Like just start with whatever the word takes me to, and then just see where. I'm also very much a discovery writer. Like I have no idea what I'm doing ever.
Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose from my side, my creative process varies pretty dramatically. There's one story that I have just so many plans for. Like it's just, I have so many ideas and it's so big. The scope is just blown up around it. But in many other cases, I have no plan. I go into it with absolutely no idea where it's going to go. And so my process is more experimental, to just try and see what I can accomplish. And where I begin is usually with a character, like one character that I want to write or a conversation that I want to write. But in reality, my process is almost never the same. But one thing that is always the same is if there's any distractions of any kind, it's not going to happen. If there's any kind of distractions around me, the process just never begins. So I'm somebody who writes in basically complete silence. And I find my most creative work happens first thing in the morning, right after I wake up.
Interesting.
Like I have just such a clear mind for creating something. I'm not sure why, but it's like as soon as I get to work, it all goes away. And just being creative after that point is much harder to have happen. But that's also my best editing happens after work. Like I can look at it very objectively and really refine something at that point.
I love that. And one thing, V, that I want to like emulate you on is your ability to just like relax and free write, because one of my problems that I've mentioned before is that I am too focused on like trying to make everything perfect, and that is limiting, you know. It's just like this weird control issue that I want to just let go of and be able to like just, you know, let it flow like you do.
Yeah. And I also had problems with that, like worrying about whether it's going to be good enough or worrying about how it would turn out. But I think I saw some advice from another writer who posted somewhere, you know, you can go back and edit, you know, a bad first draft. You can't really edit a blank page.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah. Well, all right. Any other questions, or if you have any other comments that you would like to leave for the podcast to other listeners?
Well, are there any ideas about where the podcast is going in the future, or anything new ideas they're going to expand on, or
anything new coming up? We will entertain any new ideas. As a matter of fact, I really like the one that we kind of discovered today, potential like co-authorship, pairing people off. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But essentially where the podcast goes, it's a community driven thing. So part of the Discord, and you can see it there, is ideas and feedback, that channel. Anything that you want to try, drop it in there. And we will be happy to take any ideas and try to incorporate them. But as far as things that will likely for sure change is simple things. Our recording and release dates may vary starting in 2026. But as far as exactly what that is, we're not sure yet. But it will still be a weekly submission. So
that's about it. That we know of so far.
Yeah.
It's a living organism. It's just doing what it wants, basically.
Always evolving. But for sure, the 30-minute writing prompt thing is going to be status quo moving forward. So, and I do think I love the idea of the month of November being for novels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Novel-bember.
We had such excellent participation from you and everybody else that participated. Just such enthusiasm behind it, so I want to maintain that. But as far as the future, it's just consistency. But we want to be consistently there for people to submit their stories, have them read, and get feedback every week. So that's what we're going to strive to do.
Yeah,
and definitely, I do appreciate you hosting this podcast, and actually having a deadline and a structure, like sitting down and submitting 30 minutes and getting it done every Tuesday. That actually helps me, because otherwise I find it hard to get things done unless someone gives me a deadline.
Exactly. We need that pressure.
Yeah.
We need that structure.
I'm the same way. Like if there's not a deadline, it might happen, but it probably won't.
Oh no, there's not a deadline. It is not happening for me. That's for sure.
Well, thank you, V, for joining us here today. I appreciate you making time to hang out and chat with us, and giving us the opportunity to get to know you.
Yes.
And I wanted to thank you again for all of your participation throughout Novel-bember.
Yes, thank you so much. And we look forward to what you come out with in the future.
Yes.
Oh, and thank you so much to both of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, you have a great evening, and we will see you on the flippy floppy.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Bye. Thank you, V.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, so that is our latest installment in the Get-to-know-Yule.
Yes.
Up next week, we will have none other than Walker by Faith joining us.
The one and only.
The one and only. So stay tuned, everybody, and we will see you next week.
See ya.